So monotonicity principle is like the weirdest and most kind of controversial and unclear thing about the whole framework, because the monotonicity principle basically says that your loss function has to be monotonic in which programs are running. So physicalist agents, the way we define them, they can always only be happier if more programs are running, and more kind of upset if less programs are running. They can never like have the opposite behavior. And that's kind of a weird constraint, which we have all sorts of speculations about how to think about it, but I don't think we have a really good understanding of how to think about it.
Huh. Yeah. So it sounds like that means that like I can't like if there's some like program that's like a happy dude, living a fun life, and if there's some program that's like an unfortunate person who's wishes they don't exist. So the monotonicity principle is saying like I either prefer both of them happening, or I disprefer both of them happening, but I can't like one happening but dislike the other happening.
Yeah, you cannot have a preference which says this program I specific is like a bad program which I don't want to run. Like this is something that's not really allowed.
Huh. And why do we have that principle in informationism? Why can't you just allow any loss function?
So the reason you have this is because the bridge transform produces ultra distributions which are downwards closed, meaning that in simple words, what it means is that you can never be sure that some program is not running. Like you can be certain that some program is running, but you always have like instead of being certain about the fact that some program is not running, the closest thing you can have is just 19 uncertainty about whether it's running or not. It's like always possible that it is running. So given this situation, it's not meaningful to try to prefer for a program not to run because it always might be running, and because you resolve your 19 uncertainty by you always like checking the worst case. The worst case is always gonna be like okay, if you prefer this program not to run, the worst case is always that it runs, and then like there's nothing you can do about it. And like the reason you cannot be certain that the program is not running, well, I mean the reason is that's just how the bridge transform works, but in some sense it's a consequence of the fact that you can always have refinements of your state space. Like the state space phi, which we discussed before, we say that it kind of the space of all the ways the universe can be. But described in what terms, right? We can kind of describe the ways the universe can be in terms of tennis balls, in terms of people, or in terms of like bacteria or something, I don't know, or in terms of atoms, or in terms of quantum fields. Like you can have different levels of granularity. And the kind of nice thing is that we have a natural notion of refinement. Like given a hypothesis, we can consider various refinements which are like higher granularity descriptions of the universe, which are consistent with the hypothesis that we have on this coarse level. And the agent is kind of, you should think of it as kind of always trying to find refinements of the hypothesis it has in order to use this refinement to have less losses or like more utility. And the thing is that this process is like not bounded by anything. Like the agent always thinks that like it has 19 uncertainty. As far as it knows, the description of the universe it has, it might be just a coarse grained description of something other, more refined, which is happening in the background. And because you can always have more and more refinements, like you cannot ever have any level of certainty that there is no longer any refinement, you can always have more programs running because maybe the more refined description has additional programs running that the more coarse grained description does not capture. It's like, maybe the description we have in terms of quantum fields, maybe there are some sub quantum field thingies which we don't know about that encode lots of suffering humans, and like we don't know. That is how you think if you're an IB physicalist.